Hey guys, and welcome to a new video. Today we're gonna take a closer look at the Sacred Grove to harvest our seeds that we found while mapping or while in the campaign or stuff like that. This is a basic guide on how to build your garden, for example, right? Just to understand the mechanics behind it, like what is a collector, what is a life force, condensed life force, what is a disperser, a storage tank, what is a pylon, how to connect things, how to split the juice to the tier 2 seeds and so on, how to even grow a tier 2 seed, a tier 3 seed, tier 4 seed, and overall some tips and tricks about your gardening so you can start build your own garden based on your knowledge here, right? Or based on your needs on whatever you're farming. Good. To start things off, we're gonna make the simple things first, right? So Harvest League is now a week old, or an Xbox and PlayStation 4, it's like a day old or so, right? So you should came across, when you play Harvest League, above those seeds that you have over here, right? So you have those seeds, you pick them up, you have them in your inventory, and you also, this is something a lot of people forget, you have this seed stockpile as a hideout decoration in your hideout. So I have it next here to my stash here, the seed stockpile. So when you're mapping or clearing off your your loot tab or something, right? You can just instantly place your seeds into your hideout decoration stockpile. And this is what a like crazy idea, 200 IQ. This is actually the same stockpile with this one is like connected, right? It's like two stashes, so it's not like we have two separate stashes over here, right? Good. So just a small first tip here, you have this one as a hideout decoration for your hideout. Good. So once you have those, and in mapping and overall when you open those seed caches, you will only get tier 1 seeds, right? These are the small ones. These are this one here that you can like randomly plant around and make some smiley faces over here, right? And to harvest those, you need a collector, right? So we have here a blue collector and yellow plants, right? Oh, wait a second. That will not work. I mean, 5 head, you need a yellow collector for yellow seeds, okay? Then it will work. Great. So, you know, you never know who is watching, you know, and if people just miss that critical information. But I don't want to make fun of that out of those anyways, because, dude, I failed on a lot of things after I learned or made some more research about that as well, because I didn't even know what a pylon is for. But anyways, now I know, and hopefully after the video you will know it too. So, good. If you misplaced something, like you have like a bunch of dispersers and you actually wanted to place some pylons, and you can place multiple things while holding down the shift button, you can just control click and remove those dispersers again, or collectors or seed. You can pretty much remove your entire garden and start all over again. This is exactly what I did right before I started this video, just to show you guys on an empty space how this works. So there's 2 ways to plant seeds. First of all, you get your collector on the desired color, and then you just right click and place one by one if you want, right? Or to make it faster, let's do a blue one over here. You just click this mouse button, auto plant primal seeds nearby, and this will just take... God, we have an empty space over here. Why? Oh no. Wait. Give me a second. I need to fix that. I actually need to fix that. So you really need to pay attention where you're placing your collectors, because you want to have 100% efficiency, right? And if there is like one off, right? So we take this over here. You see that the blue corner, the square, is actually not full, right? So you need to place it somewhere like over here, where it's actually a full circle. So now we have a beautiful... Oh, isn't that perfect? It's like 5... times 5 is 25 seeds at once with one button over here. So just... There are some spots that are weird. For example, on the bot side here, you need to make sure that it's actually a full square so you can grow the seeds in there like for 100% efficiency over here. So, right back over here, it says on the harvester, on the collector, requires 8 or more fully grown vivid seeds in range to begin the harvest, right? So you need a bunch of those basically, or at least you need to have at least 8 fully grown in radius to actually start harvesting, right? So we're just gonna plant here a bunch here, and then we basically harvest. Or we're just gonna fill up everything and just keep on mapping, because every time you are in a map and opening a seed cache or something like that, it will give like 1 growth cycle in your Sacred Grove over here, right? Good. So let's assume we fully grown those out. So then basically this blue icon here, this one fills up like a timer, and once it's fully grown out, the cycle in here glows, and then you basically know it's ready to harvest, especially when this button gets activatable, whatever is that a word? I don't know. So you click on that, then the monsters will spawn and you kill them, and then you have a chance to drop tier 2 seeds. So a tier 2 seed can only be dropped from tier 1 seeds, the tier 3 seeds from tier 2 seeds, and you will not find any tier 4 seeds while mapping, for example, right? Good. Back to the basics. What happens if you kill those monsters? You generate life force. So with this life force, you can then craft. So once this button is gone, when you killed all the monsters, there's like some weapon over here, some icon. You can click on that and it opens a menu where you see all the crafts. For example, if I mouse over this, reveals a random socket number crafting effect when harvested. This is usually like 3 socket, 4 socket recipe or something that you can use. Note that you can only use those crafts while you're in one active sacred grove, basically, in the instance, right? That means if you say you have a seed with like a 5 link and you say like, yeah, well, I need to farm more currency to afford a good base so I can use the 5 link, that's not gonna work, right? As soon as you go into a map and you open the seed cache, these things will be gone, okay? That means that the crafts will be gone and the life force will be gone. Please keep that in mind. There will be an option later on when you have like tier 2, tier 3 seeds, when you get like shit tons of life force, you can craft those collectors. I don't even have one yet to show you that. It's this one over here. It costs like 1,800, where you can basically connect this with a pylon and you can store up to 3 crafts in that safe zone, basically. That means you have those crafts for later on, right? But for the usual things, if you just have tier 1 seeds and the collector in the middle, these things will be gone, as well as the life force. So this tank here, or at least this collector, can store up 50 life force. So why 50 life force? What does it mean? So basically, let's assume we're gonna generate 400 life force out of all those seeds. When it's fully grown out and we kill the monsters, we generate 400 life force. So if you don't use those crafts, right, the yellow is, for example, like attack modifiers, life modifiers, and you're playing a caster with energy shield. You don't need any of those crafts that these seeds will deliver. What you're gonna do with that, right? Either you just craft a bunch of pylons and storage, which you need later on anyways. This is something I recommend. Or you condense the life force. So you have like 400, as I said, you condense the life force, the tank will fill up to 50 and the other 350 is gone, okay? Totally gone. So how to avoid it? How to not waste life force or condensed life force? It is when you build a tank. So now we have a tank. This tank is basically just a storage for life force. So does this work now? No, it's not. We need to connect that. So we need a pylon for that. So a pylon is always like the item to connect things, right? So the thing is, you see, if you scroll in here, you have here some light bulbs. You're going to see that later on what I mean. So here on the top side, here are 3, and here are 3 as well. So these one are shining because this is influenced with the vivid life force, for example. Like, it is yellow, okay? So this tank here doesn't have any influence yet because it's empty, right? It's gray. So I can do whatever I want with this tank. So now I can basically connect the pylon, clicking here, and connect this tank to it. So will this do anything? Not really. We just have an empty tank with a pylon connected. Like, where are we gonna get the life force of, right? And that's why we have to connect now the pylon with our collector. And now you see that the lights are going on here, means that this tank is attached to a vivid life force, or at least a yellow source, basically, a vivid source, right? So basically, we now have, for example, 400 life force. We do some crafts, and then it says like, okay, you have like 260 life force remaining. What you're gonna do with that? You're gonna condense the life force. So you click on the button on the bot side, and it will travel over and fill up this tank. So you might ask, well, I can use this storage tank life force later on for crafts, right? No, you cannot. This in the tank is the condensed life force, while that what you harvest from the beast is actual life force. The actual life force is used for crafts to get your the seed crafts, the for example, crafting pylons, crafting dispersers and stuff like that. And once you're done and you have still some remaining, you condense the life force, it travels over to the tank, and this here is condensed life force. So you wonder, what is condensed life force then? And this is to spread influence with a disperser. So now we have the next item, which is a disperser. So a disperser has the same square as the collectors, but it's white because it's a neutral item, right? So a dispenser will basically spread juice to other seeds. This is something you don't need for tier 1 seeds, right? But we need that for tier 2 seeds. It's just to explain what a dispenser does. And same as the other thing, you need to connect those. So we either like connect this, or let's just make another pylon over here. For example, over here, it's not really recommended to build things within the square, because this is basically less space that you have to plant seeds, for example, right? So again, we're just gonna make it like that. So we're gonna connect our pylon to our life force or collector, the pylon to our storage tank, the pylon to another pylon, and this pylon, for example, to the disperser, right? So the yellow lights are on again, so we know now that this disperser is used for vivid influence. Good, what does that mean, okay? So I think we're just gonna go over to another place. I would say we're gonna go over somewhere where we have more space, actually. I would say top left side. So this is basically it about the tier 1 seeds, right? Pylons, tanks, tier 1 seeds, collectors, that's it, right? So now we're gonna make a tier 2 seed to craft. So here we have some more space, right? So we can do that right here. I would say this time around we do, let's do a blue one. So we have here now tier 2 seeds that can drop from tier 1 seeds, obviously based on the color. So we're gonna take a tier 2 seed of a primal influence. So this is a little bit bigger seed, and now it blinks red, which did not happen on the tier 1 seeds, right? Because you do not fulfill the requirements. So you mouse over and it says exactly what it needs. It needs 56 more wild units of condensed life force and requires 4 more adjacent primal seeds of at least tier 1 to grow. So you can either place more tier 2 or tier 3 or whatever, but usually on this part you're gonna use some tier 1 seeds for this example, for example. So what does adjacent mean? It means next to it, right? So I can pretty much take any blue, we have any blue tier 1 seeds, or am I empty? Oh, we have some more. Okay, let's take those. So we just need to plant, as I said, 4. It just needs, and you need to understand that you just need to fulfill the requirements, the parameters here. So we're gonna do like 1, 2, 3, 4. It works diagonal, it works like next to it. So now we have 4 seeds next to it. If we mouse over, it is a green check mark. Okay, requires 0 more adjacent primal seeds. So this will work. So it's still blinking red. That means every time you fulfill a growth cycle, nothing is gonna happen to this plant, because we need wild unit of condensed life force. To do that, we need a disperser, right? The disperser will now take care of the influence. So we're gonna place this somewhere where the square is within the flower, basically, or the plant is within the square, basically. For example, over here, so it meets the parameters, it is within the white circle. Good. Now we need to adjust this, so we need a tank somewhere, right? Because this disperser is just a disperser, but we need to connect it with a pylon to any tank or something, so we can actually spread the life force, so you can drag out the life force from the tank, right? So I do have some, what do we have here? Here is a fully juiced, like 300 full life force storage tank, right? And now we're just gonna collect this one with a pylon. So we have the pylon to the tank, the pylon to the disperser, and now I have an icon here which says disperse life force. And as you see, it stops blinking, because now the juice travels over and spreads the influence to the plants that are just next to it, right? So if we mouse over again, requires 0 wild life force, requires 0 adjacent primal seeds. That means now we are ready to grow. So the thing is, if we would plant another one, let's say, I think I have another tier 2 seeds somewhere over here. So we plant another one, and it says like 60 wild force unit of condensed life force to grow. Can be harvested after 6 growth cycles. That means if you pull up the calculator, we have 60 life force needed in 6 growth cycles, means 360 total condensed life force. A tank can only hold 300, right? So that basically means that after like 5 cycles, it will start blinking red again, because it will be on the last part you ran out of juice. So then basically you just sometimes check your garden and be like, oh wait, why is this one red blinking? Oh, I don't have another tank here. So you're just gonna place another filled tank and just connect the pylon to this one as well. So now you have basically a 600 condensed life force, right? And then you probably notice this icon over here which says auto disperse on or off. So if it's offline, I have to disperse every single time, every single time you basically find seeds, you're gonna go into the portal and click on that so it starts spreading influence again, right? I don't really see any scenario where this is necessary. So you're always gonna put it on so it naturally, like always, automatically disperses. No matter how many cycles you have, it's going to get dispersed. So you just put it on and forget about it. And after like 6 or 7 growth cycles, depending on how much the plant needs, this one needs 7, then you can harvest it like the other ones. You click on the icon and the monsters will spawn and then have a chance to drop a tier 3 seed. Good. Tier 3 seed. How does that look like? Pretty much the same as the tier 2 seed, just with one more disperser. Hey, PogChamp. So, for example, we have here a tier 3. Do we have a yellow seed? Here we have a tier 3 yellow seed that needs Wild, Condensed Life Force, Primal, and 4 adjacent Vivid. To make that, is a Vivid seed, means we need a Vivid collector in the first hand. Then we need to place other tier 2 seeds this time. So this is a tier 3 seed, and it needs adjacent tier 2 seeds. Not like the other one when you grow a tier 2 seed where you can place tier 1 seeds. This time around it says 4 more adjacent Vivid seeds of tier 2. So we have to grab some tier 2 seeds. 1, 2, 3, and what is this? Another tier 3 seed. So do I have another tier 2 seed? Hopefully. Yes. Oh, perfect. So, and we're gonna plant this one next to it as well. And here our tier 3 seed says, okay, same as the other one, we have fulfilled the requirements. Now, we basically... Wait, that's... Hey, where is my tier 3 seed? Here it is. Okay, good. We still are in the parameters, right? So this is the seed, this is the collector, these are next to it. So this one says no more Vivid seeds required tier 2 this time, right? And if you notice now, wait a second, these are tier 2 seeds, I need other ones as well, right? And then you basically can fill up this one with the tier 1 seeds, and they will then be connected to the other one. So this basically means the higher the seed, if you want to have a tier 4 seed, you need to place tier 3 seeds around the tier 3 seeds, the tier 2 seeds, and around the tier 2 seeds, tier 1 seeds, if necessary, to make all grow together, right? But back to our tier 3 seed, it says 42 more wild units and 42 primal, same as the other one. We're gonna place, where are they? A purple one, and where is it? The primal one. Here is a full tank. Then we need dispersers, and this time you cannot connect the disperser with both tanks, so you need 2 different separate dispersers, right? So we, for example, gonna place one disperser over here, one disperser over here, and then we're gonna connect like 2 pylons over here. So now we're gonna connect the pylon to the tank, the pylon to the disperser, and now we activate it. So now we have the purple influence, and now we need the blue influence, pretty much the same. Connect the pylon to the tank, connect the tank to the disperser, and then activate it, and all of a sudden it stops blinking. So this one will grow now. But based on the how many you need, so this is now 9 growth cycles, right? It was like, what, 54 or something, so 54 times 9 is 486. So the higher the tier, the more requirements you need to fulfill, and the more condensed life force you're gonna need to actually grow them. And what is here missing? Wild unit. So basically this disperser is really bad placed, should have been over here to actually make that. So we can actually just take another disperser. This is like bad layout, right? So this one is in the parameters, so I can just do like this, and now it's would be fully grown, right? As long as we have enough life force. Otherwise, just place another tank, another tank, another tank, connect those, so you just forget about it. Just always build your seed with all the requirements and make enough tanks so you can just forget about it and just come back to harvest those seeds. And then you probably come across this one, because I said you just control click and can remove items, right? But now it does not work. It says you cannot pick up objects that have been activated. So that means that at the moment I cannot. If I would go back now to my hideout, and then control click to the grove, or in the next area where I'm going to pick up some more seeds and I come back to my sacred grove, then I can use them. It's just locked in this instance, okay? Good, so we know how to use tier 1 seeds, we know how to use a tank, how to fill the tank up, we know what a disperser is, we actually grow a tier 2 seed here with the tier 1 seeds and the disperser connected, and we also connected, or at least build up a tier 3 seed. So now it's going to get a little bit more crazy, and this time around I already prepared something This is basically a 3-way garden system. I mean, it looks kind of crazy. I mean, if you just check the other ones, but it's nothing too crazy either. So here are my tanks, right? I mean, in a actual garden, you would have way more tanks. I think in a good garden, there's like 2/3 of the whole garden is full of storage tanks, right? So these are just connected. We have a purple line, a yellow, and a blue line. And here we have like a purple dispenser, right? And to grow a tier 4 seed, for example, so I have one over here. This one is a little bit crazy to grow, right? Because you need to fulfill so freaking many requirements. Because now you not only need the adjacent tier 3 seeds around the tier 4 seed, you also need primal, vivid, and wild influence, like the one that you're actually crafting, right? And this is basically the same layout here for yellow and for purple, based on what color the seed is. So let's try to make this one work, okay? If I hopefully have enough seeds. So basically, this time around, you have a tier 4 seed. Then you need to place 3 tier 3 seeds around that. So let me check. I should have enough tier 3 seeds. Here are 2 more, a bunch of tier 2 seeds. Ooh, I'm not even sure. I have never grown a tier 4 seed, but in theory I know how it works. So you have your tier 4 seed here. Then you're placing some tier 3 seeds around that. So 1, 2, 3. How many do we need? 4. So here's the 4th one. It should be over here. So 1 more adjacent tier 3 seed. Oh wait, that's a tier 2 seed. That's a tier 3 seed. So these requirements would be met. Good. So then we need wild, vivid, and primal influence. So based on the other topics as well, we have here our tanks. They're connected to dispersers. And here we have like a yellow disperser, click that on, a blue disperser, and also a purple disperser. And as you see, all these squares are within this tier 4 seed. So the only way to build those are over here, okay? So what else do we need? Here we are fine. This one needs 1 more at least tier 2 seed. So we're gonna grab a tier 2 seed, place it somewhere here. This requirement is met. Here we need another tier 2 seed over here. No, wait, there's over here. Okay, this one is met. Here we need 1 more tier 1, 1 more tier 1. So 1 more tier 1 over here. And primal influence, the blue one. Shit, where is my blue condenser? Blue condenser! What is this? This is yellow condenser. Did I fail connect something? I think we're just gonna build another disperser over here. So as you see, it starts to get a little bit crazy, right? So we need a blue primal. So we're gonna connect the blue one to this one because this one is also connected to my blue tank, right? Good, this requirement is met. Then here we have, we need vivid. So we need a yellow disperser around that. So we're gonna just pick up another disperser somewhere in the range. So let's just do here. Connect the yellow one to this one, activate this one. Requires 44 units, means that my tank is empty. So we're gonna build up another one of this one, connect this one so we have more juice. And now we can activate this one. And here is one more blinking. It says 2 more at least tier 2 seeds, so 1 and 2. And this one doesn't work because we need more tier 1 seeds, so 1 and 2 and 3 and whatever. And then we need more blue influence, so this one. But this one is actually not connected. Or no, wait, our blue tank is empty. So we're gonna take another tank over here, connect that one over here. What else does it need? Activate. We did it. Holy shit. So we have our tier 4 seed grown together with all the tier 3 seeds that we build around, with the tier 2 seeds that we build around, and the tier 1 seeds that we build around. So it's always the same principle in this gardening system, right? You always need to make sure every higher tier needs lower tiers to be built around, and the dispersers need to be connected to tanks to make this actually happen. Good, this now grows, needs 15 growth cycles, and the higher the tier, I mean, at some point, right? If we say this one needed like 150 and has like 15 cycles, it's 2,250 condensed life force, while one tank can only hold up 300. So basically, when I enter a map and come back, this one will blink red again because I'm running out of tanks. So that's why I always say tanks are insanely important for that, right? I know the tier 4 seed was maybe a little bit complex and complicated, but don't worry about it. Once you get going with the tier 1 seeds, you build your first tier 2 seeds, right? And you start grinding out your first tier 2 seed using your first dispenser. Then all of a sudden one comes to another, and it will make more sense at some point, right? If you're unaware if you should like craft or like... It's always great if you either condense your life force for later on, or you build shit tons of pylons and storages that you will need later on anyways. Good. One handy tip again, I have here a sheet that is from Reddit. There's a lot of people on Reddit that are posting their crazy layouts and whatnot. And this basically is an easy layout here. I will link this Google document in the description below if you want to take a look, which basically would be a good setup, right? You have like your tier 1 seats that are connected with pylons to a bunch of tanks. Then the tanks connected to pylons, and going up here to your grow station. So you have 3 separate areas with a tier 1 where you can just harvest your small seeds, your tier 1s that you find for either life force or craftings, and then you go ahead and storage them. And once you have find some tier 2 seeds that you get over here, you can place them over here, tier 2 seeds, 3, 4 dispensers. So it needs a little bit of time, but it's all square spaces, so you need to get a hang of on how to rebuild. And basically, this is what I built over here for the showcase here, right? Exactly this one is this what you see over here. I was just probably missing one disperser or something for the seeds. But yeah, guys, that's it for the early tutorial. Now I'm going to just kill all of these pylons and whatnot for the 1000th time, because every time I build a garden, I'm like super hyped. I'm like, dude, this is the garden. But then after learning more about it and talking to people that are massively farming tier 4 seeds all day long, I get a lot of good information on what is actually necessary. And if you remember what I mentioned in my previous videos, I wanted to rebuild this one here, the 99.5% space efficiency gardening, right? Where I said like, holy shit, when I look at this, this might be the craziest, best layout ever, right? So I wanted to build this until a friend of mine called me and said like, dude, I heard in your video you want to build this one up, just don't, you know? Because he and his group are farming tier 4 seeds non-stop, you know? And he said, all you need is maximum 2 or 3 tier 1 stations. You need like the rest of your map should be full of tanks, and then you have like separate stations for growing those tier 4 seeds. So that's why I mean experience is key in gardening, right? So me as a rookie that is just doing tier 1 and tier 2 seeds, I see that, I say like, dude, I'm gonna build this tomorrow, and this is going to be the layout for the rest of my league, right? And then you talk to somebody that is very experienced in doing those, because this is from theory and he does it practically, right? He's actually growing those tier 4 seeds, and he says you're never gonna have enough seeds for the tier 1. If you're just permanently mapping, after 10 maps you come back to your garden and you plant your tier 1 seeds, you're probably gonna fill up 1 or maximum 2 of your tier 1 collectors, and the rest will be empty. You're never gonna have enough seeds unless you mass buy tier 1 seeds. Then maybe. But for a solo player that is just like grinding maps and just does this next to grinding, 1 or 2 spaces or 3 is actually enough. So I think I will make more something like the what I just showed you here. For example, with 3 separate layers of tier 1 gardenings, then filling up the entire thing here with like these caches and pylons and storages. And probably over here I'm gonna make my high tier growing station on the top side, and the rest will probably be full of tanks, so we can save up like thousands of hundreds of thousands of condensed life force. Never worry about the dispenser. Alright guys, I think that's it. I hope you liked it. Thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video.